All right, 6:35. We're going over to Mike Eppel now. And we are talking, Mike, yes. Toys R Us.
Yeah.
And let's talk about what's happening in the U.S. and could we see some changes here in Canada?
Yeah, the talk this morning, good morning, Melanie, is that Toys R Us in the United States is preparing the paperwork for a liquidation of the operations, a shutdown of this, well, very well-known retail brand that has fallen on tough times, too much debt and too much competition from the likes of Walmart and Amazon in that toy retailing space. So we're talking about, 650 stores which are still in operation, 20,000 U.S. employees. They've already been scaling back after they filed for Chapter 11 last year and wanted to get through Christmas and get things back on track, but apparently they haven't been paying the bills in recent days. So the Canadian operations, they're separate from the U.S. They say it's business as usual. If the U.S. folds, though, would the Canadian operations be bought out by someone who thinks there is future success in the brand name? Because they are profitable here in Canada, but again, the U.S. operations of Toys R Us could be looking at a liquidation sale starting as soon as today. Certainly a big shakeup in U.S. retail. And it does come back to the competitive forces from the likes of the big box retailers such as Costco, which is reportedly this morning looking at expanding its home delivery options here in Canada to include fresh food delivery, expanding grocery delivery to Canadians. Nothing confirmed yet, but again, change of how we shop. Do we have to go to the store specifically, or do we just have it delivered right to our doorstep? Walmart Canada and Loblaws, and they are all looking at expanding the home delivery options. In the U.S., Walmart's looking at another 100 cities where they're looking at the delivery of fresh food right to the door. So again, the changing landscape of retail, it's always shifting, always moving, and some winners and some losers. And again, always changing and certainly of interest to consumers. Speaking of consumer spending in the United States today, we'll get a reading on U.S. retail sales, and maybe that'll stabilize the U.S. markets, which have been volatile to the max again to start this week. And a lot of that comes back to the White House and the comings and goings of various departments for the Trump administration. Yesterday, it was the firing of Rex Tillerson, the Secretary of State, that sent the Dow Jones down 171 points on fears of a possible trade war because Tillerson was a free trade advocate. And Mike Pompeo, the former head of the CIA, maybe not so much. This morning, however, markets look fine. Dow futures back up 100 points. So always volatile in the Wall Street trends related to Washington trends. We'll send it over to Kevin.
And thus exits the only sane person in that White House. Thank you, sir.